Alright, we're going to tie a PMD Sparkle Dun. This fly was developed in West Yellowstone, Montana. Craig Matthews. Sparkle Dun is one of the best overall mayfly imitators that's ever been created. It's kind of low maintenance in the sense that it's easy to tie and it fishes great. It's a size 16 hook. Tie it 16 through 20. I'm going to tie 8/0 yellow thread back to the bend of the hook. Take a strand of Zelon, and that's a full strand. I don't really need all that. I can knock this down probably in half for a 16. Cut that. It could be crinkle or straight in my opinion. Some people might want it to be one or the other, but I'm going to tie this in no more than the length of the hook shank on the length of the Zelon tail. You can always cut that too if you feel like it's a little long. Tie that in as my trailing shuck. You'll see that on Matthews X-Cat. That's Matthews Sparkle Dun. Both. The trailing shuck is critical. Wrap that thread all the way up to the eye, creating a base of thread. And now I'm going to tie in my wing. I want this about 3/4 up in the hook shank. Not too far toward the eye, which is going to be really difficult to tie on anyway, and not so far back that my body is, shorter than the thorax. One of the most important and most difficult things about this fly is getting good quality hair. So what I'm looking for in this Comparadun deer hair is very, very short tips. So probably hard to see in the video, but when I stack this up, they'll be very mostly the natural fiber gray that you see, the same color as the hide, and very short dark tips. Could be lighter tips if that works out, but it's basically that it's uniform tips and not long and spindly, but rather just short. Cut off a good amount of hair, pull out the underfur that's underneath all that. Take that hair and put it in my hair stacker. I like a good amount of hair to help flotation. Draw that out slowly. Those tips will be evened out. I'm going to measure that as the length of the hook shank. I've got to switch hands here. That's how long I want the wing. I want it to be the length of the hook shank. Just like that. Measure it, tie it in, loose wrap, and then crank down on it pretty good. That wing might be slightly long. We'll see here. I'm really pinching with the thumb and forefinger as hard as I can to keep that from spinning. I'm going to push that up and get my thread up underneath that with a wrap. And I'm not pinning it yet, just putting it in there. And then for durability's sake, I'm going to get in and try to separate those tips slightly. And come on top of that again, really crank that down again. And come underneath it again one more time. Now I can go ahead and cut the butt ends of this deer hair that I tied in, Comparadun deer hair. Careful to not cut the tips that you are trying to tie. And stay there. And a good pair of scissors, you can cut it down nice and close, cutting all those butts of it out of there. And now I'm going to cover that up with thread just to help develop the thorax a little bit and tie it down. My next step is to really post this wing, and I want that wing to be straight up. Right now it really wants to cant forward. In order to get that done, I've got to bury a thread ball up underneath this wing, and at the same time I'm really pulling that hair back so that I get that thread up underneath there. That's going to keep that Comparadun wing, fan wing, straight up. And that's really important for flotation and wing silhouette in terms of imitating this, what we're doing here, this Pale Morning Dun, Sparkle Dun. So you see that some of these fibers are starting to be a little bit, sort of kind of want to go their own way here. What I can do is lay a loose wrap in behind that. That'll capture a couple of those, and if they won't cooperate, we'll just pull them out of there. and then come up front again and sandwich the thread both fore and aft the wing until I get that Comparadun wing the way I want it. And that's 180 degrees and splayed out. And now I can get in there and kind of clean up any of these fibers that aren't cooperating. Now once I've got the tail and the Comparadun wing in, and the Comparadun was a different fly. I mean, it has a microfibet tail, whereas the Sparkledun uses Zelon as the tail. Back to the Zelon tail I go. Light yellow in this case, although this could vary from a sulfur orange to a real pale yellow to a even more of a olive for some PMDs. Thin in the back, developing that up slightly, but trying to maintain a relatively thin body with this fly. Brush that forward. This one's turning out to be a bit thicker than I would like. He's going to have to work. So wrap that behind, and now I'm going to come in front of that wing with the same dubbing rope, and I can again try to pinch that down in there, trying to keep that dubbing in front of the thorax, and that'll sandwich that wing. And I mean, if it wants to sit back just a bit, that's okay. Now this fly is slightly pregnant, and what I mean is it's a little bit thicker than I would like in the body. I'm going to try to save it with just a little half hitch. I would have liked that body to be slightly thinner. I think with the mayflies in general, that's going to need, that's important to keep that thin. And I'm just using a little half hitch rather than the whip finish, and I'll get in and glue this one if I really want it to stay. But that is a PMD Sparkledun, a pretty pale yellow body, and a little bit fatter than I'd like, but he'll work.